the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make the noodles, and we're going to make them from flour and eggs, and we're going to start. So you want to pour the flour on your board. You can also use regular noodles if you would like. I just enjoy making the noodles. It's kind of fun. And so what I do with the eggs, then the flour, I make a little well on the counter, and then I take my egg and I break, oh, that's a double egg. Woo! That's exciting. And so so that's the first one. And so you can do it one of two ways. You can just start with a fork and use those eggs, and you're kind of going to pull the flour in from the sides and continue to stir it up. Here's egg number 2. And you just keep mixing it up. You can do this with your hands as well, but because it's so new early in the process, the flour and the egg get all over your hands, and it's kind of easier to do it like this to begin with. These are fresh eggs. We got them here and locally. Pull up on the side of the road and pay $5 and pick up a dozen eggs. It's awesome. Egg number 3. And the double egg yolk is really good for me today because a couple of these were small and I was worried it wasn't going to be enough, so I'm really happy with the way this is looking so far. So you just keep pulling this in, keep adding, and I can tell I'm going to need all 4 of the eggs. So it's, when you're making pasta, it's 100 grams of flour, which I had measured before we started this, to 1 egg. So if you want to make 1 serving, it's 1 egg and 100 grams of flour. And then I'm going to break this next one in. And after this, I'm going to start with my hands because I like the way it feels better. You just keep mixing and mixing. At this point, I'm going to just start mixing some of this in with my hand. There's a feel for it. And just keep pulling that flour in. Folding and folding. It's a lot like bread dough. And there's a feel for this as you go along. Like, I don't, right at this moment, I'm not sure I'm going to need all of this flour, but you kind of as you go through, you'll feel you want a nice silky looking dough. And when I get to the point that I feel like I'm making some progress with this dough, I just move the flour over and pull it in as I go along. When it starts sticking to my hands, I just add more. It's a dough scraper or counter scraper, or, I mean, I use this for a lot of different things, but it's nice to get that counter cleaned up so you can tell where you are with the dough, because if it sticks to the counter, you know you're not quite there yet. And generally speaking, this process takes at least 10 minutes. Get it mixed up, and then you have to knead it. And as you knead it, you can feel the difference. It starts turning into this silky kind of stretchier dough. Like, I can feel it right now. See, it's not sticking to my hands at all. We're nowhere near where it needs to be, but just, it's kind of, you can zen out. And normally by this time I do have some dough and flour on my hands. But normally by this point, if I had just done it all by hand, my hands would have been totally covered and I would have had to stop and go wash them off because it drives me crazy. And so we just knead. Feeling a little sticky still. And there are some days when I'm doing this that amount of flour wouldn't have been enough, and it just depends on, I don't know, the air and what's going on with the humidity. So I've been kneading this for about 10 minutes, and the dough, as you can see, is kind of a nice, I don't want to stop because it dries out quite quickly, but it's absorbed all of the flour that the eggs could handle. So I had two choices. I could keep going, or I could have gotten probably another egg, maybe an egg and a half, and added it to this and mixed that flour in. If I had company coming, that's what I would have done. But what I'm going to do is make the ragu. It's going to be a little bit too much for this amount of dough, but I'm going to freeze it and have it at another date and make another batch of pasta. So this is ready to rest. And so what you want to do with this at this point is just wrap it in some saran wrap and put it in the refrigerator, or let it rest on the counter if you're going to use it, which I am, so I'll leave it on the counter. But you just want it to rest and let it do its job in there, absorbing all that flour and kind of loosening up a bit. It's easier to use. So it is going to require some more flour to keep it from sticking. And this is the rolling part of this. All right, so there's many ways to do this. The real experts roll it around their rolling pin, and I haven't quite mastered that yet. So I will show you what I have figured out, from watching videos and talking to people and practice, is that if you put this on the counter and you just start turning it a 1/4 degree each time it will maintain its circular shape. And you want it to do that for as long as you can until it gets until it gets the length of your rolling pin. And you want this to be kind of see-through. Because the ragu is heavy, I am shooting for probably a thicker noodle than I would for something else. But this is another one of those Zen things. You just keep rolling, and you can't imagine how big this little piece of dough is going to become. I've watched videos where people go like that, and that does help because it keeps the pressure on the whole piece even, but I'm not great at that yet either. But I just keep working on it so that I get better and better. And what I'm saying is they roll it up something like this, and then I don't dare to do it because it feels like it's all going to squish together. doing this, I was shocked at how it feels. It holds together quite well. It doesn't, unless you roll it out and pull on it really hard, it doesn't tear. It's just the coolest dough. And when it starts getting too big, it's all right to hang it off the edge. The weight of this eventually helps stretch it out. The only problem doing it this way is that if you aren't careful and you pick up your rolling pin, the whole thing will fall on the floor. So you have to be really careful when you're doing this. Any creases in it. I just want it as smooth as possible. So now I'm gonna roll it a half turn because I'm getting to the end of my rolling pin and it's easier to keep it all the same width. If you can put even pressure on and not pick it up and switch it, you can do it any way you want, but this is the best way I've learned to do it. So, I don't know if you can see this. I'll pick it up a little bit. It's starting to get, I don't know if you can see that. It's starting to get a little bit see-through so I can see the lines under the counter right here. And I'm thinking, I'm pretty close to where I want to be with this because I want a heavier noodle, but I'm gonna go one more time around, I think. See, if I let go of this, it would fall on the floor right at the moment. It's thicker. All right, so I'm going to just give it one more push on this angle. Okay, and in order to keep this from sticking to itself, I'm going to sprinkle the top with a little bit of flour. And at this point you can just take a knife and cut. I did learn something recently where you fold it up to the middle. Like that. I've never done it this way, so we'll see. And then you fold it in half, and then you cut it that way. And this calls for tagliatelle, a thicker pasta. I'm going to make it a little thinner because I like it a little better that way, but you can do it any way you want to. I try to keep them all about the same size. And then pick them up, and you can pick them up more than one at a time. Water is rolling, boiling. I'm going to turn it down just for a minute. Okay, and then you just keep going. This is the most fun thing to do. I know it looks like a lot of work, but it's really just, if you have the time, you can make it today and put it in the refrigerator for tomorrow and do, make anything you want, pasta dish as far as vegetables or anything. But it's just, homemade noodles are just the best. Okay, so I'm going to have this be, I'll cook the rest of them in a minute, but I'm going to cover that. As always, when you always want to cover your noodles, your pasta when you're not using it. So basically my water is going, I do add quite a bit of salt to that. And I haven't done that yet, so I'll just put probably 2 tablespoons at least in this pasta water. And then once that's boiling really hard, I just pick up a bundle of the noodles and put them in the water, and I use a set of tongs to make sure it's not sticking to each other. Put a little bit more in, I think I can get in there. And this does not take long to cook. Okay, we'll keep cutting while that's, I would say about 3 minutes at the most. If you want to put these in the refrigerator and save them for later, a nice way to do that is to nest them. Make sure the ends are inside, and as long as they're floured, you can drop them in the water just like that. Okay, so I test this. Take a look at it, and then I just rip off a little piece. and see if I like the way it's cooked. That is not quite done. So we'll just leave that. We'll keep. Thank you very much.